Take me to a time when you was beat up, when you was like questioning, not necessarily questioning the business, but was there a time when you were really questioning you? Yeah, I had
Anytime,
some success.
anytime I've always been at my lowest and I question me, I will always fight it with books, audios, and affirmations.
Anytime you're at that.
Anytime I'm at my lowest and I'm on the verge of quitting, if I just talk about my 10-year span, anytime I was at the lowest and I was at the verge of quitting, I will borrow the belief of somebody else. This is why I always talk about the power of audios and listening to audios over and 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 over. If you're having a hard time right now and you're on the verge of quitting and money's not coming in and you're just on the verge of giving up, the only fuel that's going to keep you going is what you put in here. It's books and audios. I never forget, Adam, there was a period of time in my life, and when I talk about that 10-year period, there is a period, I had so many lows, bro. There is a period to where I moved to this new city to start a business, and my credit was bad, and I didn't really have any money because the cost of living was so expensive. I applied for 10, 20, 30 places, couldn't get in one.
Dang.
The very last place that I applied to was I applied to stay in this basement of this house of this couple from Trinidad. And they leased the place to me. It was their basement. I was at my lowest, bro. But I was also at my highest. You know what I did? This was winter 2014. I still remember that period like it was yesterday. You know what I did, bro? I brainwashed myself with audios. I never forget. I was going to the field. I was working my business, but it's 12 inches of snow, 15 snows up to here. I'm living in somebody's basement. I'm making no money, but I had the greatest attitude on earth. You know why? You know what I was doing? I was brainwashing myself with audios. There was an audio I listened to. I want everybody to go get this audio. It's an audio called Your Wish is Your Command by Kevin Trudeau. It's a 12 CD series. I brainwashed myself and I listened to that audio over and over and over and over. There's another audio by the guy by the name of T. Harv Eker called Speed Wealth. Speed Wealth by T. Harv Eker. I listened to that audio over and over and over and over. There was another audio I would listen to. It's called Expand Your Mind by Houghton Bugs. I would listen to that over and over and over and over. I would listen to the audio series of Think and Grow Rich. I would listen to that over and over and over. I would listen to the Wisdom of the Ages. And what I did was I would listen to them when I was working throughout the day, driving, and when I would go to sleep. And then I had the books I was reading. So even though I was in a down and low situation, everything was different inside of here. I was positive inside of here. This kept me going. This kept me staying positive. It was what I was putting up here. See, most people, when they're going through a hard time, all the fuel that they have up here is doubt, fear, worry, negative people. This ain't working. That ain't working. I ain't making no money. They're not taking the fuel that they're putting up here is poison. I put in 93 octane up here. I'm listening to these audios, and as these speakers are speaking to me, the speakers are speaking to me. I'm thinking that they're talking to me. So because I'm thinking that they're talking to me, I'm starting to think that, man, I can be successful. I can do this. I can be somebody. While living in a basement, making no money.
That's crazy.
What I did was I worked my way right at that basement. I worked my way right at that basement. I moved out of that city. I moved to another city. And I moved to this other city with a different attitude. And bro, all that's happened ever since that year has been just this right here. It's been little incremental gains. Some years stay stagnant and then boom, I have an increase. Some years stay stagnant and then boom, I have an increase. And all I've been seeing ever since is this right here. See, most people ain't seeing that. All they see is just this right here.
Yeah.
Is because you got to understand that the risk is the reward. Most people think it's risky taking risk. It's risky not taking the risk. So most people, they can't endure the challenges of really, really breaking out and being somebody is because they don't know how tough they are. I know how tough I am. Been there, done that.
Yeah.
Been there, done that.
What do you feel?
You got the same story too, bro. You've endured a lot too, bro.
I have, man. What would you feel like, or what do you think is like the biggest risk that what was the biggest risk that you've taken? And what do you feel like, follow up is, what do you feel like there's something, or do you feel like there's something that you wish you would have done that you haven't?
Yeah, but we always got things that we can say, oh, I wish I would have done this. I wish I would have done that. Well, if that was the case, we would have done it.
Right.
That's the thing about life. You have to be able to make the best decisions at that time of what you have. So for me to be like, oh, I would have did, bro, if I can go back and do things different, I would live at home and I would have took every check and put it in Bitcoin. I would have been on my mom's couch until I was 39 years old. If we can go back and change things,
right?
I would have took my refund checks in college and bought Facebook stock. If I can go back and change things, it's like that's a dumb question. So you know what I'm saying? And not the dumb question you asked.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Anybody be like, well, what you would have done different? Well, you would have done it already. You would have did it. We use the best we can with what we got.
Right.
So everything that's I've done, it was exactly what was supposed to be done.
Right.
It was the best decision making that I had at that point.
Right.
And it goes both ways. For the businesses that failed and was just tragic, that was my decision making at the time. But I'm also responsible for my major wins decision making. I'm also responsible for those too. I'll never forget, I got into an Airbnb business. I had an Airbnb business that I ran for like 2 years. And it was a tough business. People talking about Airbnb, Bro, listen, that business is tough.
It seems like it.
Because you have no control. You don't control when you get paid. You don't control what tenants do to your place. You don't control none of that. I thought Airbnb was it. It's like, man, I'm making this money. I'm going to try to take it to the moon. I thought Airbnb was this here. But on the side, I'm doing this little thing called wholesaling. This here. I'm thinking this is the deal.
Right.
I'm thinking that's the deal. When in reality, that was the deal. You don't know.
You don't.
I just took the shot anyway.
Yeah.
I'm just a good person. I'm just great at taking shots. Majority of them haven't went in. I'm just great at taking shots though.
So let me tell you this for me, right? And then maybe you can think of something like that. When I moved to Atlanta, when I first moved down here, I was like 28. I wish I would have moved when I was younger. Because my environment, you talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
My environment, and I was literally talking to my mom about this too. Bro, nobody, they're just like, oh, I'm just going to stay here forever. I'm going to get me a box Chevy. I'm going to get me this. I'm going to get me that, a bubble Caprice. But I'm just saying, that's what success was a decent car and an apartment. That's it. And working a job. Nothing else. I didn't even know. This, even what we're in right now, bro, I didn't even think this was even possible. And this is nothing. I didn't even think this was possible. I was thinking so small because I didn't know nobody. I'll tell you a funny story. I lived at the street called Carmel Boulevard in Zion, Illinois. And at the very end of the street, there was this house. And this was years ago. And this was probably like a $250,000 house. Probably had like 3 or 4 bedrooms. It was nice. Nice little driveway and everything. And I was like, man, when I get older, I want that. That's the only thing that I saw that was out of the ordinary. A nice place. And everybody else was like, you ain't gonna get that. I remember to this day, my friends was always like, you're not gonna get that. So for me, it was, I didn't change my environment quick enough. I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything.
Yeah. Environment is everything, bro.
So
It's
when
everything,
when was
man.
the time when you were like, I got something? Like, I got something up here that's gonna work, and this, whatever it is gonna work. Like, I really, really, really believe
I've had that
that this
multiple
is gonna
times.
work.
I've had that multiple times.
You had multiple times?
Yeah. The thing is you're gonna have that multiple times.
Hmm.
If you go through life, you've probably started a couple businesses.
Right.
There's very few people who get in one business and they just ride that business for 20, 30 years. That's a very small percentage of people.
Yeah.
But I've had different businesses to where I was like, man, I got something. Things making money. I think this is it. I've had that 3 or 4 or 5 times.
Okay. When did you
Because-
feel like that about the business here and now? First check, $100,000 a month. What was it?
It was the first check. The first check. That first check that I got in wholesaling, it was different from a lot of the other businesses that I made. It was just different. The reason being was because my very first check was $21,000. $21,000,
Nice
and I
check.
was like,
That's a nice
okay,
check.
so I just made $21,000. I got all my money back that I invested in courses, seminars. Before I got my first check, I invested around maybe $12,000.
Okay.
This is for coaching. This is for a seminar that I went to. This is for software, leads. It was about 12 grand, 12, 13 grand. Say 12, 13 grand, right?
And that was up front?
That was for all the months
Got it. Okay.
of buying software, getting coaching, but
Yeah.
about 12 grand.
Jeez.
When I got my first wholesale check, I had to take a piece of it and give it to my landlord. I was behind maybe 2-3 months. My rent was $2,400. So if you do 2,400 times 3, that's 246. 4 times 3 is 12. So 246. So that's about 7,200. So I gave him 7,200. I had another landlord because I was still doing Airbnb. I think I was paying maybe $2,000 a month. So I gave him like 4. So it was like $11,000. So I paid the $11,000 and I had like $12,000. So I got all my money back.
Plus some.
So I gave them their $11,000 of rent and I had $12,000. That $12,000 was everything I invested.
I see what you're saying.
I got all my money back in one check while I caught up on everything else. So I said, if I just do this again and over and over and over and over and over, I've already spent the money in coaching. I've already went to the seminar, so I got all the notes. I already had the leads and the software. My next check was $26,000. So now I have a $26,000 check with no expenses. It's all profit now.
Okay.
Every other business that I had, when I had big wires and stuff coming in, I always had expenses this and expenses that, and pay these people and employees and expenses, and da. Bro, these wholesale checks were coming in, and my bank account was just jumping. I had that first check, $12,000 left. The next check was 26 grand. Boom. Now I got 30 something thousand in the bank. My next check was 19.5. Boom. Now I got 50 some thousand in the bank. My next check was
crazy.
47,000. Boom. Now I got 70, 80 some thousand in the bank. My next check was like 7,500. My next check was like 30. That's why I went from 0 to boom, 6 figures in the bank, just like that. Bought the car. I bought the Infinity, bought that cash, $15,000 cash. I took, I think maybe $48,000, and I paid off all my credit card debts. I had Discover, I had Synchrony Bank, I had American Express, I had Capital One, I had $48,000 in credit card debt. Boom, paid it all off. I remember when everything was said and done and left, I think I maybe had like $49,000 in the bank. I paid off all my debts, I caught up on all my rent, and I bought a car cash, and I still had 50 racks in the bank. Now do you see how, and then remember, the next month come, boom, I made another 45,000. And it was just month after month after month after month. Adam, I never forget. I looked up one month. I looked at all my accounts, because one thing you do when you start making real money, you don't have it all in one account. Split up the account, split the money up, send some off to a different bank account to where you don't touch that. You're saving all the money and this and that. And bro, I was just running for my life, bro. I was not trying to go back.
Mm-hmm.
And I never forget, man, I'm just looking at all my accounts, and the balance said 462,000. I'm like, where the fuck all this money come from? I didn't even know I had it, bro. And then I had another account.
Let's go.
I had money in another account. So, bro, I had 500 racks in the bank.
It's crazy.
Didn't even know who. I'm just wholesaling to the moon. I'm just calling everybody in the city. You want to sell? Bro, I had zero fears. I was relentless. I had no fear. I was unstoppable. That's the business that I've seen the most out of, is because every other business, it was just expense after expense after expense after expense. There was just too many expenses.
Yeah.
And man, it just kept going up. And man, here's the thing a lot of people gotta understand. You're gonna go through the process multiple times. And what I mean is, if you're in an entrepreneur journey and you think that you're just gonna get in the business and start making money and everything's just gonna go to the promised land, you're sadly mistaken. That only happens with very few people. The market changes, things happen. You're gonna go through a process of making money, losing money, making money, losing money, making money, losing money. You can't get discouraged. You can't let that deter you. If you're in a business now and it's doing great, and 2 years from now it's not so great, congratulations.
Yeah.
Why do you think that you should get in the business and it needs to pump money month in, month out for the next 30 years? How arrogant is that? It doesn't work that way. And most people, they're going to be blindsided. A lot of you are going to be blindsided when the business is not working the way you want it to work, because of things that you can't even control. I couldn't control the market when boom, interest rates shot up and buyers stopped buying. I'm like, man, what's happening, man? I mean, I used to slang these houses, man. I used to slang these wholesale deals. Now I got to break my neck to try to sell them. Man, what's going on? It had nothing to do with the business. It was just the market. Mm-hmm. What I'm going to do? Sit and cry? I'm like, oh man, why isn't my business? Why can't I lay on the couch and make $50,000 a month no more? Man, what's going on, man? Why can't I just print this money from the sky no more?
Yeah.
Bro, it don't work that way, bro. And that's something that I learned. I learned that what goes up must come down. Everything comes down at some point, and you got to be ready when it comes down. And when it's up, you continue to learn and you maximize it. But when it's down, you regroup. You get a plan. You keep pushing forward.